Are you ready for a reboot? Welcome to the Sheila Mac Show, reality at its finest. History reminds us those hit hardest often become the change makers. This year, we've all hit crazy economic, social, and emotional rock bottoms. We all get knocked down. Something hits globally, locally, personally. It affects our health, finances, our relationships. We have to recreate a business or career. Each show, Sheila and her special guest will be sharing their reboot stories, guiding you with real solutions to upgrade and up-level emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially. Here on NBC's KCAA-RADIO. If you're ready to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and bra straps, enjoy a listen. Here's Sheila.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Sheila Mac Show. Today we have a special guest. We have Havilah Malone, and we are going to be talking about proof of what's possible. Havilah is the #1 best-selling author of How to Become a Publicity Magnet and co-author of The Amazing Adventures of Oliver Hill, based on Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich success principles. So she's also been Miss Louisiana Universal 2018, and she is a TV personality and motivational speaker on a mission to be a catalyst for positive change in over 2 billion people's lives. She hosts the weekly inspirational video podcast, Havilah Friends, and has guest starred on NCIS New Orleans. Miss Malone is a recipient of the President's Volunteer Service Award Gold Medal and the Women's Prosperity Network She Rocks Award. That sounds like a fun award. Havilah's nurturing spirit, inspirational voice, and magnetizing personality inspire people to be proof of what's possible. The multi-talented millennial powerhouse has also been featured on Fox, NBC, ABC, CBS, and more. All right, so welcome, Havilah. Thank you for being on the show today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So we talk about different rock bottoms and how they led you to even more success in life. So if you'd like to just kind of start sharing about some of your journey to inspire others, that would be outstanding.
Certainly. I think for everyone, it all starts with our upbringing and the things that we're taught coming up that kind of set our foundation for the things that we choose to believe, the things that we think are possible for ourselves or impossible for ourselves, even like kind of the boundaries in which we work within. And so for me, I grew up in a, obviously African-American Christian household. And, we had some very strict parameters in which we were taught to believe and to live our lives in accordance with. And so there was a lot of things that I felt inspired to or wanted to pursue, even, career-wise, that were just kind of outside of that box. And so they weren't really encouraged. So, and sometimes we come to a place where we just kind of feel like, is this really for me, or is there something more? And I think we've all questioned that at some point in our lives. And so, I graduated from high school when I was 16. I graduated from college by the time I was 19 years old, and kind of set out into the work world because I wanted to be free and be able to do what I wanted to do the way I wanted to do it. However, I didn't realize that there was a lot of limiting beliefs that I had within my own mind that were holding me back. And I also, as a youth, experienced being sexually molested as a child. And so that also wreaked some extreme havoc on my self-confidence, on my feelings of self-worth, and the things that I felt like I should pursue because I didn't want to be too visible, because in being visible, people might really see who and what you are. And I felt so little about myself that I didn't want people to see the real me. I didn't even know who the real me was. And so I think life will lead you down. I think first and foremost, life is always trying to give you the best experience possible. And I am also a firm believer that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. So we were a part of the choosing process, the decision process on coming into these particular, circumstances, these particular lives for whatever the lessons are that we're supposed to learn and grow through them. So with that belief system now in place, I'm able to look back on a lot of things and see where everything that I've gone through in my life has led me to be the person who I am today. And I am quite proud of the person that I am today, even though that wasn't always the case. And that took a long time. It took lots of years of unprogramming, reprogramming, coming into alignment with, and coming into friendships with, into understanding of new and different information that was more in harmony with the life that I wanted to create for myself, and not just the life that I was taught to believe was the life that I should pursue. So I think that really shaped the path in which I took to get to where I am today. And some of the other things, definitely dealing with, or finally being able to break my silence, and first of all the experience of, but then also being able to get to the place to where I can break my silence about the abuse. Like, that was going from a rock bottom to a healing process. That was going, and finally becoming or stepping into who it was that I'm supposed to fully be. So that's definitely one of those experiences that shapes or can shape who you are. I think another kind of rock bottom situation in my life was, I was at the age of 21. I was the youngest district manager running a $160 million business for one of the largest computer manufacturers in the world. And I was managing 4 states of territory, 24 employees. I mean, it was, and especially for someone at that age where they're still just trying to figure out what's the first job I get, to be in that type of position. And I worked with that company for nearly a decade, and that became my identity. That became, how I related to the world at that time and place, because I had everything that you would consider to be the American dream and success, and the company car, the charge accounts, the the huge team, the status, all of those things. But yet I would wake up every day and be depressed. I would wake up every day and it got to a certain point where intuitively that internal voice was it's time for you to move on. But I had gotten so comfortable in my discomfort that it was I can't leave this. I'm living the dream life that people, want to live. And my family, my friends, everyone was you better not leave that good job, So it wasn't I had a circle at that time that encouraged me to take leaps of faith and to step out into the unknown, or to do things that were in contrast to the status quo. So I ended up staying in that position longer than the growth that I was there for served. So God was like, okay, since you won't do it, I'll help you. and so it was when there was a big turn, the economic turn, the business for them started really declining. And we got a call, or actually email one morning, saying to get on this company conference call. And the call was basically to let us know that within 2 weeks we were all being laid off. And yeah. So God was like, well, since you won't leave the nest, I'll just push you out of the nest.
Yes.
And so that was a huge, in that moment, it was kind of wait, if I'm not this person in this position with this title, who am I? And it felt like a rock bottom moment, because it was this identity crisis and a career crisis, that all within one. However, it was actually one of the biggest blessings in disguise, because it gave me an opportunity to go on a search for who I really was, what I really wanted. Because had I probably not been pushed out of that, I would have died in that position, and a lot of my gifts dying with me, because I would not have become a best-selling author, became a queen, traveled the world speaking and motivating people, doing the things that I do now, starring on television shows. Like, I wasn't doing those things then. And so it was like, no, there's more for you in this life. And that's why I encourage anyone who's watching right now, if you don't feel like you are fully fulfilling your purpose, that you've used all of your gifts, and quite frankly, if you're still alive in this moment and still breathing, you haven't used all of your gifts. There's so much more that's inside of you. And so there may be things that are happening in your life right now that feel like discomfort, and it feels like especially right now in the pandemic, a lot of people are losing their livelihoods. They are having to move to different places or areas. They're having to be cut off from certain friends or family members that they had regular contact with. Like, there's so much that's happening right now in the time that we're living, but know that can also be used to help catapult you forward on your path, or to put you back onto the right path for you to be able to unleash those gifts that you haven't put into full use yet. So there's always as Napoleon Hill would say and talk about, there's always a seed of equivalent benefit in every adversity and defeat. So it's our job to look for that benefit, to look for that seed of equivalent benefit in whatever we're going through. Yes. So going through that layoff, it allowed me to discover Havilah, and I went on this huge personal development journey, which is actually where I met you, because it led me to going to a Tony Robbins event and walking on fire, and joining his mentorship program, and introducing me to, I was like, what's the word? Introducing me to extraordinary people who were thinking differently than I was thinking, who were breaking molds and breaking through boundaries that I didn't even know were in existence for myself. And so it put me amongst, and that's one of the key things, is you have to surround yourself with people who can encourage your journey, who can challenge you to be able to reach deeper in, and to really be able to bring forth your genius, because it's in there. But if we aren't pushed to use it, then I won't say you lose it, but it doesn't get developed. It doesn't get nurtured in a way that you can actually utilize it to your benefit. It's like finding alignment with universal laws. The law of gravity exists. Why? Because there were people who probably tried to jump off of stuff, and then, they fell. So we figured out, this, principle exists. So how can I use this to my advantage? Okay, I'm not going to jump off the building unless I have unless I'm going skydiving.
Yeah,
maybe. Right?
About you, I know you've jumped off of buildings and things, right? With the proper equipment on.
Yeah.
You're braver than me in that respect, for sure.
Yeah. But it's you utilize this knowledge, you utilize these principles to your benefit. We know that the law of attraction is very real, and that whatever we keep thinking about, we're going to attract to us. Whatever we give great feeling to, whether that's feelings of anger, fear, disgust, or feelings of, love, ecstasy, joy, gratitude, whatever we give strong feelings to, we're going to attract more of that into our lives. So with that kind of knowledge, it makes us to become more consciously aware of the decisions that we're making, the things that we're doing, so that we get the greatest benefit for ourselves and for others. And so surrounding yourself with people who can encourage that type of thinking, encourage that type of action, is going to help you to get what it is that you want, period. If you are, if you are the most accomplished, the most learned, the most, thought-provoking person in your circle of friends, you're in the wrong circle.
It is definitely, that would be the wrong, that's where you lead, and you're the leader, but you need somebody to also pull you up and inspire you and hold you accountable. Our group of friends, like you and I, we do that all the time for each other, and it is such a gift. It's like, yeah, you can do this, or you know what, get up off the sofa, let's go. So
Yeah.
whatever it was that was going on. And so that is so important. If you are just tuning in to KCAA Radio, this is Havilah Malone, and she's on the Sheila Mack Show, and we're talking about timing and being drawn to the right place. So you are in the right place, listeners, to hear about what's proof of what's possible from a real queen. So we went over some of the stories of your life, Havilah, and how when you were very young, you went through some abuse and you finally got your voice to share about that. And I think that somebody listening may need to hear this. You know, when you get that voice and are able to set yourself free from any type of an abusive situation, it gives you the voice and the power to do so much more on this planet. You're able to free yourself from all kinds of other things. You take your power back and your life back. And it's very scary sometimes, but you are not alone. There's lots of support groups. I have a support group for that. There are so many different support groups. Get into a circle of friends. We're talking about circle of friends and our peer group. So as you connect with the right people, they will help you if you're going through a difficult time. Never give up on yourself. Connect with the right people and let your voice come out. Now, your voice, Havilah, let me ask you, once you made that shift and got yourself free from that difficult, abusive situation, how did that shift your life as far as using your voice?
Oh my God. You know what? You don't realize how things that you go through or are going through are affecting you.
Yes.
And one of the things, because the abuse happened when I was, younger, and one of the residual effects of that, which I had no idea was even connected. I used to, for a period of about 20 years, I collected Barbie dolls. And I ended up amassing a collection of over 300 dolls, like mint condition, in the box, untouched, like collector's dolls. And every time I would get a doll, I would always look at that doll and I would think, oh, like she's got a beautiful outfit, or like, oh, she's portraying a great career, or, she's a doll of the world. And I used to think it was just because of those attributes that I was collecting those dolls. It was so much deeper than that. And our minds are so powerful that it will try to find ways to protect us, find ways to help us make sense of the world around us, and to try to acclimate ourselves to it. So when I finally was able to break my silence about the molestation and the abuse from childhood, I found that my connection with the dolls also broke. And these dolls, like even my family knew. It was like, she going to her grave with these dolls. Like, she won't never let nobody touch these dolls. Like they are so important to her. And it was like life and death for me about these dolls. And what I came to understand was these dolls actually represented all the things that I wanted in life, but I didn't think that I was good enough for. Like, they were beautiful, they were accomplished, they were, all these amazing careers and opportunities and things that they were doing that I didn't feel like I was good enough for. But I was able to look at those dolls, and that was my anchor to those things. And they were also, why I kept them inside of the box, because they were safe, and they were untouched, and they were clean. And that's not what I felt about myself. And so they were this mirror for me of all these things that I wanted, and I guess ultimately saw for myself, but wasn't embodying and living in that time period of my life. But the dolls were that for me. And so once I broke my silence about the abuse, and I started to do the healing process, because this has taken years. It's not like, oh, overnight, everything's just great and wonderful. No, like it's a process of rewiring your neurology, rewiring your belief system, and starting to create a new image of yourself and who you know yourself to be as opposed to who you thought you were before. And I then started to embody and live the life that I saw through those dolls. I became it myself. And it's been an extraordinary journey because there were so many things that I have wanted to say, ideas that I've wanted to express, things that I wanted to share, but I held back because I didn't have my voice and I gave my power away for all those years. Whereas now I get to stand in that power. And to a certain extent, it's still unfolding. Like there's more things that I want to be able to talk about. There's deeper spiritual truths that I have come to know that it's not just for me. Like we're not given messages, we're not given experiences just for ourselves. We're given them to be able to help us on our journeys first and foremost, but then to be able to share and help others as well. And so that's even kind of the stage or phase of life that I'm stepping into now, is on some of my deeper like spiritual journeys that I've gone through with use of plant medicines, with different technologies and things like that, and the good that has come from it, or the knowledge that has come from it, feeling free to share that with those who are ready to hear it. So I think it's a continual unfolding all throughout your life, because growth never stops. Like there's until you close your eyes in death, and that's really just another transition into something else. And so that process of growth doesn't really end. And so I think that use of and unleashing of my voice will continue to happen throughout the rest of my life.
Such a beautiful voice, and you have helped so many people with all the different things that you have done, going from abusive situations to then becoming queen. And you did something really special with a lot of those Barbie dolls. You want to share about how you went from one phase of your life to using your voice and then becoming the queen, and what you did with some of those dolls?
Yes. And so those dolls that I would have never let go of, I actually formed a nonprofit organization, Living Beyond the Box, and we did a huge gala and event where we actually use the dolls now and we sell them or auction them off to be able to raise money for nonprofit organizations that support people who have been abused, or give services to the individuals who have faced that kind of hardship in their lives. And we do a lot of programs in the community, and with youth and with adults, especially women, to be able to help them to get their voice back and to step fully into their power. So I love that what served me for all of those years is now in a position to be able to help serve other people as well. And then we'll also get like donations from people who have like collections of Barbie dolls who want to, continue to add. So the collection grows, and then it goes and it grows and it goes. So it's kind of like this beautiful cycle that is helping a lot of people across the country. So I'm super excited about that. And to your question about the becoming a queen, I remember as a child, watching, like the Disney princesses, and watching these like programs, and, having that desire to, be a princess and be a queen. But I think somewhere along the lines, and it happens for a lot of us, where we're like, we give up those childhood dreams, we give up those desires, because we feel like we can't accomplish them, or we're not good enough for them. And I had my fair share of those type of limiting beliefs about myself. And I remember it was in May of 2017, I was watching the Miss USA pageant on Fox, and my cousin was actually in the top 10, Bailey Dayton, and I watched her journey unfold, and it ignited something inside of me, and it reminded me of those childhood dreams that I had. And I looked at that and I was like, you know what? I'm going to be a queen. Now, up until this point, I had never been in a pageant before. I knew nothing about like the pageant world, like any of that stuff. But it was just like I had come to this place in my life and had done all of this self-development work and had stepped into this level of confidence where I was just like, that's something that I want, and I'm going to go after it, and I'm going to get it. How? Hell if I know, but I'm going to figure it out. So that began my research. And I started to look up all the different pageant systems, because quite frankly, the pageant world is a world of its own, which I didn't know. Yeah. And I think that that's an encouragement to anyone who, if there's something that you feel called to, there's something that you want, don't let your lack of knowledge on the subject hold you back from pursuing it. We all have to start from a place of not knowing and then learning, so that then we know what it is that we need to do, or if it's even the right thing for us or whatever. So if there's something that you feel curious about, that you feel called to, go for it. Invest the time, invest the resources, get a coach, go on, Google it, like literally, get the book and find out what you need to know to pursue that which you feel called to, because it's possible for you. Anything is possible. So I started reaching out to pageant coaches, to past and present queens. The events that I was doing, I started inviting queens to be a part of the event so that I can start to maneuver in that world and understand that world. And I narrowed it down to two pageant systems that I, felt aligned with. And I went for it, and I entered into the competition. And on October 7th, I think it was October 7th, 2017, I was crowned Miss Louisiana Universal 2018. So like, I literally became a queen. And even that part of my journey, my reigning year as a queen, it opened so many doors of opportunity. I was able to inspire so many, lives, especially to have a young girl see you with that crown on, see you, in your gown, and you show up at their, organization events or at the charity event, and for them to be able to see what could then be themselves in, a matter of years, that inspires people. And we all need those role models, those individuals who will show up and show us what's possible, to be proof of what's possible in life. And I love that, to be able to stand in those shoes, to be able to do that, because it was a realization of one of my dreams, but then also kind of a spark of inspiration for somebody else who, maybe that's their dream. And maybe they don't even want to be a queen, but it still gives you hope for what's possible in life. And that's what it's all about.
I think so. And, I think that what an incredible story. Imagine if you didn't knock on those doors, if you just listened to I'm not enough, and you're so much better than that. Whenever somebody says you're not enough, I'm like, that's right. I'm so much better. We're all so much better than that mindset of not enough. And for young girls, especially, I think more than young boys, we are told we are not enough. And we've got to do this and we've got to do that. And there's so many rules. And of course, I'm the breaker of rules.
Yes, you are. You help me with that so much.
That's my thing. And so I'm like, well, we'll apologize later. Let's just go with this. Let's knock on the door, even though I don't have the certificate or the degree. And it's funny, when you knock on those doors, the doors get opened. You get the job. You get the, go volunteer, start getting involved, surround yourself with those type of people that you want to become. And that energy, they're going to guide you through that. Ask for help when you need it. And people are more than willing to give you a hand and help you, especially when they're established in something and they're in that right energy. They have nothing more that they want to do in their hearts than help somebody else. Like, look, you're inspiring others. That was your goal. And so when that becomes the goal, people will feel that and they'll know the difference. Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in the world, and we all have like desires. We all have things that we want in life or things that we're going to go after in life. But when your desire is for more than just you,
Mm-hmm.
so yes, your desire should be for you. Like you should definitely, do things that bring you joy, that like light you up, that keep you invigorated, that bring you prosperity and wealth, that allow you to have the experiences in life that you want. But then if it also has the component of being good for the planet and good for other people, that is the combination that the universe looks at and says, you know what? We're going to give all of our resources, all of our energy, all of our help to push forward because it's good for everyone. So, whatever you want in life, it's fine. Just make sure that it is for you and others so that everyone benefits and people will be willing to help you. They want to see you succeed, especially people who are already successful. Now, you could come from an environment with like people who are like the crabs in a barrel type of mentality. And trust me, I've had plenty of those type of people around me. And you may think that, hey, oh, they're looking out for my best interest, but that's not really the true heart intent. And you can feel it and you can see it through the actions. Like, are they like when you post something in social media promoting something that you're doing, are they sharing those things? Are they giving you encouraging comments? Do they call? Do they check on you? Or is it always coming to you with negativity or why it won't work or, why you shouldn't pursue this? So that's why your circle of influence, your circle of friends has to be carefully cultivated and carefully chosen so that you create a mastermind. You use the brain power, the resources, the inspirational qualities and good energy of people to help propel you forward, and you also give those same things back to help propel them forward so that you all grow. Like, I am super grateful to have you as a friend, Sheila, because you have been so amazing throughout my journey from the time that I've known you, and even seeing some like rock bottom, events within my life, but always being there with that encouraging word or that push, like, let's go. Like, what are you doing? Or you know what? Stop following all the daggone rules and break them.
Yes, let's get into the flow. At one point, we were in Beverly Hills together, driving around in LA and doing fun things on a visit, and it was so funny because we talked about getting into the flow. And everywhere we went, we would see signs, flow, get into even over the Beverly Center, they had this billboard and it said, get into the spiritual flow. And we're like, what the heck? And then you picked up water and it was flow water. And we never even heard of flow water. And
right.
something about we are attracting what we're looking for and we speak things into existence, but then we also have to actually get up and go with the flow, be willing to knock on the doors, be willing to do the work, willing to get your voice heard and not be afraid. It doesn't matter if there's a judgment, because you'll start to attract the right people that are aligned to your values and your life vision. And it's not like you don't love those other people. It's just there's not an alignment. So that's okay, because it may be that later on they grow or you grow and then you're aligned again. But just to stay in the group that's aligned. So if something doesn't feel right, if something's just even giving you the feeling of, oh, what is it about this or that person or work environment that just, I go there, like you were in that job and you were making great money and you didn't feel fulfilled. And, it's like, that doesn't feel right, because all those people you've helped, I get the chills from this. All those people that you were helping, you had to leave that comfort zone in order to go do that. And they were waiting. And nobody else, they needed to hear it from Havilah.
And that's the thing, is like, we all have our comfort zones. We all have these areas where it's like, you know what, this is what I know. But wherever that comfort zone is for you, there's so much more. It's like literally living with a blinder on and not even seeing all the potential of opportunity that is everywhere around us. So it's going to take, yes, getting out of a comfort zone means being uncomfortable. Yes. But that's a part of growth. Because the more that you do that, the more familiar you become with the uncomfortability of growth, even that will become comfortable for you. That will become easier for you as you continue to do it. So don't shortchange yourself right now by saying, you know what, this is how I grew up. This is what I was taught. This is how my family, has been. And so this is all that there is for me. Anything, Napoleon Hill said this, and I love this phrase. And he says, if you can conceive it and believe it, you can achieve it. Anything your mind can conceive, the idea, the thought cannot come to you unless you have the ability to bring it to fruition. You can't think it without being able to actually create it or do it. So let that be your bar of achievement. Let that be, if I am inspired with this idea or this business to start or this position to go after within the company that I work for or with another company that I've always been interested in, then it's possible for you. And start to take the necessary action, because that's also one of the universal laws, is the law of action. You can't just sit down and think good thoughts. You can't just sit there, right, exactly, and just be positive. Yes, the positivity is a part of the process. It's a very key part of the process because it'll bring you more positive things. But then when you're inspired, you get that hunch that like, wow, I should really make this phone call to this person that I met like a week ago. Call them. Pick up the phone and make the call, because then that will set off a chain reaction. And the universe also looks at that and says, okay, they're for real. They're serious. Let me go ahead and take the next 10 steps for you.
Yes. And how many stories have you heard of some person that became famous, yet their movie was turned down? They were turned down, their book, whatever it was turned down by 10 people, 20 people, doors slammed in their face. And they were like, you know what? I know better than that. And they just kept on moving forward. And it's almost like it takes that resilience. It takes the ability to say, okay, no, that's fine. Next. And you just keep moving on. And the next thing you know, the right door opens and you look back and say, oh my gosh, thank goodness I didn't get to work with that person or this company or whatever, because they weren't aligned.
Yes. Oh my God. Speaking of closed doors and things being aligned, I remember I had auditioned for two things like right around the same time. One was for a film that I would have, a pretty like significant role in, and then the other was for a television show. And like everything kind of kept being coinciding, like with the callbacks and everything for it. And then it came down to like there was one more callback that I had to go to, and I had to choose. And it was like either you go for this film or you go for this television show, and nothing is guaranteed. Like nothing is, And I racked my brain because I was just like, I want to do them both, and I really want to do this film, but it's like I think this TV show may be a good opportunity too, and I just really don't know. And so I chose to go to the next phase for the television show, and come to find out, not only did I got the TV show, and we had a season of it, so we did like 10 episodes of that show. The movie that I would have been chosen for flopped, like completely flopped. Wow. And so I was just like, wow, had that door not opened for me and I went down this path, I would have gone down that path. Now, would life have been over? No. Would more doors of opportunity not open? No. But at that time and place in my life, that was the road I was supposed to go down. And that was the door that was supposed to open. And the other one was the one that was supposed to close. So I definitely want to encourage those who are watching is don't feel like if you've had failed attempts at things, if you've gone through disappointments that, oh, well, that's the end. No, if you stop, that's the end. You got to get back up and keep trying. Trust me, there's been plenty of roles that I've gone for where the door never opened and it wasn't going to open for me. Whereas other things, like being able to play Oprah on a film, like, I mean, the things that I've had the opportunity to do, and I'm still just scratching the surface of my potential. Like, I'm not even close to being done or to the pinnacle at any area in my life as of yet, because there's always room for growth. And that is my never ending need and desires, to continue to grow, to more fully express who I am and the purpose I came to this planet for, and to help as many people along this path as I can to be able to do the exact same thing. And that for me, and doing it luxuriously, quite frankly.
Might as well, right?
Yes. I've been down and out. I've been broke. I've been poor. I don't like it.
You know, and I think the universe kind of shows us both sides of everything so that we're able to have compassion and gratitude and remember where we came from. Like, you know, me being homeless as a kid and foster care, I have always given back. And I think it's just in my heart that I'm able to connect more. And I'm grateful for those times, so that when I'm blessed, I'm just even more grateful every day. It just makes a difference. So if you're in a place that's difficult right now, don't give up. It's not the end. It is the beginning, and it may be leading you to something even better than you ever imagined. There's something about, you know, we talked earlier, Havilah and I were discussing earlier, if you're just tuning in to Proof of What's Possible here, and we're talking about how you have to put intentions on things in order for them to show up, but we have to also take and do the actions. And I think about this 2020 year. Now, raise your hand if you have cursed at 2020 or said something like, when is this year going to be this darn year, this XYZ year? What is wrong with this year? Blah, blah, blah. I mean, like, if we have not given so much I'm getting the chills right now because this is coming from something else. It's like when we are putting negative energy on water. Dr. Emoto did the study of water. It changes the molecular structure of our water. So from now until the end of 2020, every time you want to say XYZ 2020, I hate it, blah, 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 change it and shift it and see if we can all put some positive attention on the rest of this year. Bless this year with the universal pause and whatever it's bringing to families and people to reinvent ourselves, rebuild and reboot our lives, and see if that doesn't shift our year. It's gonna be tough because I catch myself like 5 times a day, like. So I realized that the other day when I was reviewing the study of water, and I was like, oh my gosh, no wonder.
I love that experiment by Masaru Emoto. I mean, because it really just concretely showed the power that our words, that our intentions, that the energy that we set forth can have, like, the effect on. And think about it, our bodies are almost like 70% water. The earth is majority water. And so when we're sending out those vibrations, they are literally creating either more mass destructive qualities, or they're creating more growth and beautiful qualities and cellular growth. And so it's really important that, yes, acknowledge the crappy stuff that's happening. I mean, acknowledge where things are falling apart, but also keep the majority of your thoughts. Like, you got to just tip the scales at least 51%. Like, keep the majority of your thoughts on those positive things, on the goals that you have, on looking for solutions to the problems, as opposed to focusing on the problems themselves, because that energy will create a life of its own. And that's really important with everything that's going on right now. So, and listen to things like this. Like this comes out on a weekly basis. Listen to the examples and stories that people are sharing with you, because they're giving you real life examples of what's possible even for you. Pick up a copy of, Bootstraps and Bra Straps. Get a copy of Think and Grow Rich. Make sure that is in your library. Like, there have been people who have gone before you, who have done the things that you want to do. Why not learn from their examples? Use the tools that they have put in place as you're developing your own tools, because everybody's journey is different, and you have to find what works for you, because you have everything that you need to be successful already inside of you. It's about just becoming aware of it and utilizing it and honing it to its greatest ability. And you got this.
Yes, definitely being proof of what's possible. Earlier, you had said something Napoleon Hill said, and it was about the opposite effect. Something about the negative, and there's always the opposite positive effect. What was, remember that exact, what you were saying? I feel like, oh my gosh, we are going to have some serious positive for the rest of this decade because we've got to have the opposite effect. And sometimes, I know we did some energy work and with the Donnie Epstein programs and friends of our spiritual weeks together. And, one of the things that they teach us is about how we're showing up and the energy we're bringing in, and that sometimes things break down in order to rebuild. It's this whole, like, you get soul rerouted. When you didn't get that one job or that one film, you were rerouted to something so much better. And this year we're all getting reunited with family in different ways and rerouted maybe on a path that wasn't quite aligned with what blessings are to come. So this is breaking down, not to rebuild the old way, but to rebuild and reinvent our life on our terms, our family, everything, our work life, all on our terms this time.
I think we're in this period of our consciousness is expanding. We're waking up to there's deeper spiritual truths. There's deeper meaning for our lives than just this surface stuff that we have been experiencing, the commercialism that has kind of engulfed the world. And it's kind of like we were always like striving to go after the thing that we saw on television, the thing that we were being promoted to go and do, and the lifestyle that was being shown to us. But it was like, wait, there's something that your soul desires that's even deeper than that. Like, yeah, you can have all that stuff, that's cool, but there's something even more that it's time for you to tap into. But it's not sometimes until we sit down and that we're in the silence, that we're in the meditation, or that we're going through some type of adversity and defeat, and that was the principle about learning from adversity and defeat, that there's always a seed of equivalent benefit in every adversity and defeat. And so even with this like total universal pause that we have been going through the pandemic, the earth has had a chance to start to rejuvenate itself. There's been holes in the ozone layer that have started to heal and close. There have been different animals that were on the brink of extinction that had an opportunity to start to repopulate. So a lot of things that we were doing damage to the earth have started to repair itself. And the damage that we were doing to ourselves by constantly being in a high stress mode, go, never being able to just like sit down and think, sit down and be in silence. This has given us the opportunity to do that. And so we've all asked for something, like, and whatever that is that you ask for, you're like, hey, maybe I wanted more time with my family. Guess what? You got a lot more time with your family.
So much. Yeah,
maybe a little too much time, but you got more time, with them. And there's a lot of things, like for me, I was so busy with like film projects and working on different commercials and things like that. And I kept saying, I want to travel more. Then it was like the pandemic was like, okay, sit down. So I went into, the stay at home and for, quite a few months. And then the opportunity opened itself up and I was like, you know what, I can stay at home anywhere in the country. So I started traveling, with myself and was able to go and experience some of the things that I wanted to go and do and be in different environments and get that inspiration from a new surrounding. And that's helped to lead to me actually working on finishing my next book. It's helped me to be able to realign my thoughts so that I can come into a place where now I can share this next level of messages that I have to share with those who are ready for it. So it was like there were so many things that I thought like, okay, whoa, this thing is going on a little too long. Like this is, progressing like I was happy at first because I was like, okay, I get a break, and then it was like, wait, hold up,
what happened in 2 weeks, everyone?
Yes, but ultimately there was a seed of equivalent benefit in the whole situation, and so I'm super. Not to minimize those who are being affected by this, in their health or who have lost loved ones or things of that nature, because that's a very serious situation to be going through. But there's benefits as well that are here in the situation if we will look for them. You have to look for the good in the situation that you are handed, because this is a situation that we have right now. So where can you grow from this? Where can you go from this? And then start as that as your foundation and then keep it moving.
I believe that's so true. I mean, I've, had losses this year with my youngest son and with other situations that have happened. And there was a grieving process that we were so grateful for this universal pause. My daughter said, oh, if ever we needed a universal pause for our family, it was this year. And at the same time, it was now, how can we give back? And what can we be grateful for? And the gratitude practice, even though there's not, you could take everything I ever owned and that would be fine, but not my babies. I mean, it's that thing, it's different. And when you go through something like that, you realize what matters most. And it's your priorities, and you're grateful for so many things that maybe you were so busy you didn't get to have that gratitude practice. And the more we practice gratitude and learn to retrain our thinking from going to just the sad part to going to the happy memories, and gratitude for his extended life. He had a heart condition since 5th grade. We almost lost him then. So we actually had him longer, probably. And so, it's switching how we remember or go to the memories. What memories are we living in so that we can honor the situation? And then it's like when we found the gift in the universal pause, the problems just disappeared for us as far as, being stressed out about it. It was like, oh, this was such a gift. And I said, oh my gosh, if I manifested anything, I'm sorry guys, because I went through something bad and I was like, all right, everybody just go to your rooms right now. I need to think for like 6-7 months. and I was like, wow, that's exactly what I needed. And so there's something in it. And when you find what you need for you in this time, then it's like it just unleashes all your freedom and it changes, and you find the gifts in it all. And I think it's like this magic law that happens when you're honoring even the difficult struggles that we have. The gifts appear.
Yes.
There's
so many gifts all around us, and and it's such a beautiful way that you were able to articulate, the situation that you went through with your family, because we were, right there through all of that. And it's like, no, you would never want to lose. You would give all of your worldly possessions, anything, never to be able to lose a loved one, and yet still being able to find, some good out of it, and saying, hey, we were able to keep him longer, than what was expected even in the beginning. And it's like, so we do go through very tough times. We do experience some very heartbreaking and unimaginable things in life. But even through those things, there are gifts that can be revealed that are for our good and for the greater good. And so, and Michael's life has definitely had a beautiful impact on so many people, and will continue to do so.
Yes.
Forever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, Yes, it's one of those finding the gifts. And my goal when I wrote my little book was really, honestly, I was alone. We have the California fires again. I had lost my home, my car. This was 2017, and I had lost all these things, and I said, wow, I was so alone and this was so difficult. Here's some steps that I took to get back on track within record time. What did I do differently? And if it helps one person on the planet, that's my happy place. I know I'm on purpose, and that's all that matters. And that, even my son was like, oh, he read the book and he was like, oh, that's going to help people. That's cool. And, kids, and he was 22. And it was like, yeah, that's my purpose. And when you find those ways of giving back and helping others, it really sets you free doing your purpose like you're doing now. And I know you have so much more that you're going to be bringing to this world with your new programs and books. And you've given me a little sneak peek, but what do you want to share as we come to the end of this hour? What would you like to share with the audience, how they can connect with you and learn more about what's next?
Yes, certainly. I am available through all social media at Havilah Malone. So it's HAVILAHMALONE. I can be reached via email at ask@havilahmalone.com, or you can go to my website at havilahmalone.com. So I make everything pretty easy to be able to find me. And I'm so grateful for this gift of life and the experiences and the teachings and the learnings that I have had through this gift of life, because it allows me to be able to not only experience these things and grow from them, but also to help others on that path as well. And so I encourage you to reach out if you have questions. We do have some online courses that are going to be launching within the next month, and some really amazing things that are coming very soon. And of course, you can always go to YouTube. I have like tons of YouTube videos that are out there with information. And for those of you who have young ones, who have little ones, I highly encourage you to pick up a copy of the book, The Amazing Adventures of Oliver Hill, that breaks down Napoleon Hill's 17 Principles of Success as a children's version of Think and Grow Rich that was published by the Napoleon Hill Foundation, because we are never too young to start to get the tools that are necessary, the mindset that is necessary for our success.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and we will see you next week. Bye. Is not one size fits all, just like a pair of boots or a bra. So the formula is designed to help you through any situation. Grab a copy of my new best-selling book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. It is now available on Audible, as well as on Amazon and Kindle, and at www.sheilamac.com.